Hey guys, it is Lee here again from straightwoo.com. This is a video to quickly show you how to add asteroids into your birth chart. Kind of a mini, let's say a mini guide. If you don't already have your birth chart or you don't know how to make one, I would suggest that you go back to my page on straightwoo.com, which is very easily called how to create a birth chart. There is a screen grab step-by-step instruction, and there's also a video very much like this one. So if you haven't gotten that yet and you need help doing your birth chart, stop this video now, go do the birth chart in a different window, and come back when you've got the birth chart in front of you, because then it will make sense. For those of you that have come from the birth chart video, in the birth chart video I used Muhammad Ali as an example for his birth chart. For doing the asteroids, I'm going to use my own birth chart because I already know what asteroids are in my birth chart and relevant. So, you should already be on astro.com and you should already have a birth chart. And if you already have a birth chart, you will already be familiar with this screen, the extended chart selection screen. And just to review and make sure we're on the same page, we're going to be looking at a natal chart wheel. We can put the transits here, but we don't have to. And this is where the action is. Oh, excuse me. And the one other thing we need to know is that you've clicked whole signs. So I've already got my information stored at the top, so that's the one we're going to look at. I've clicked major aspects only. I've already chucked in a few asteroids and points here because these are my default settings. And down here is where you enter the asteroid number for what you want to see. So each asteroid has a name and a number, and the ones I'm going to look at today are Heracles, aka Hercules, Eros, and Psyche, two of the love asteroids. Heracles or Hercules is obviously an ancient Greek god, but one of my favorite asteroids actually. So again, each asteroid has a name and a number. What you need is the number. So it's kind of misleading here because if you are doing this for the first time, and funny enough, that is the number for Eros, one of the ones I'm going to enter, you look at this and you think, oh, I can just enter the name. But that is the name of a fixed star. So the way this site works is these are asteroids, these two are fixed stars, and these are something entirely different called hypotheticals. That's why they have this little H in front of them. So if you're doing asteroids, you can't just enter the name, you have to enter the number only. So I am going to enter 5143, which is Heracles, 433, which is Eros, and 16, which is Psyche. Anytime you want to, you can look up the entire asteroid list. I mean, you can see here there's 19,933 named asteroids. There's even one, I can even put it in here, 3155, I think, is Lee, as in my name Lee. There's a list of fixed stars here, and this is the list of the other items and hypothetical planets, so those guys there. But we're just going to stick with these ones. We're going to click to see the chart. Okay, so I'm going to cover up my birth info. And this is my birth chart. So you can see I entered Heracles, very close to, it's very, very, very close to my sun. I entered Eros, and it's very, very, very close to my Neptune. I entered Psyche, and that's floating here. And I entered my name, and it's conjunct, very close to another planet here. So what's important here? First of all, there are an infinite amount of asteroids you can enter in. I am working on different subsections of asteroids. So, for example, a post about love asteroids and kind of number lists you can copy and paste into the previous screen to check the love asteroids in your birth chart. I think most of you would have read it, but if you haven't, asteroids are very tiny points. There are bigger asteroids that are about 500, 600 miles wide, but many of them are about a mile wide. 1 to 2 to 3, 4, 5 miles wide. They're very, very tiny points. And as such, I'll give you an example. So If you look at my moon and my Mars, you can see that my moon is at 23 and Mars is at 27. And that is what we call an orb of 4, roughly, let's say, because 27 minus 23 equals 4. Now, when you're dealing with the moon, or if you're dealing with the sun, which is over here, you use quite a big orb. You say 8 to 10 as a conjunction, which means that they're touching side by side. Conjunction means side by side, sitting next to each other. So an orb of 4 or 8 means 23 plus 4 or minus 4. An orb of 8 would mean plus 8 or minus 8. We do not work that way with asteroids because they are much, much, much smaller. And the reason why I've chosen these asteroids is to show you the difference between a point like Neptune at 122 to Eros at 251. That is about 1.3, 1.4, something like that, as an orb. For an asteroid, you want to look at a conjunction, a side-by-side connection of 1 to 1.5 degrees. I don't personally go bigger than that. You saw on the previous page that there's 19,933 named asteroids. So, I mean, imagine what this chart can start looking like if you have 200, 300, 400 asteroids in it. It becomes a mess. And you don't want that. You want the ones that are most clearly attached in a strong way to personal planets or major planets. So you can see here, Eros is very much conjoined to Neptune. And another example here is 26 degrees 44, Hercules, and 2749, the Sun. That's almost exactly a degree. And that is a good example of a very important planet, your Sun, being very, very close to a minor asteroid, minor planet, Hercules. I've got another example here, which is my Venus is almost perfectly conjunct. You can see 1206, 1234, and this asteroid here on the left is called Ceres. That's not one I entered, but it's one of the ones that I selected in that control box to the left. Because there's kind of 4 major female asteroids. There's Ceres, which is here, Pallas, which is here at 9 degrees, Vesta, which is here at 29 degrees, and Juno, which is here in 17 degrees. In my chart, at least. In your chart, it should be anywhere different, because everyone's chart is totally unique. So these are good examples of prominent, important asteroids in the chart. Ceres conjunct Venus, Hercules conjunct the Sun, Eros conjunct Neptune. Now the last one I had entered on the previous page was Psyche. And you guys can see here, Psyche's not attached to anything. It's also not directly across from anything. It's also not even making a square, which would be here at 8 degrees or there at 8 degrees. So it's aspecting nothing, attached to nothing, conjunct nothing, opposed nothing, just floating, which means Psyche is not an important point in my natal chart. And you're going to have a lot of these. It's not good or bad. It just is what it is. There's at least, I'm working on a post about this, about the love asteroids. Gosh, there's probably like 20 or 30 positive, let's say, for the lack of a better word, positive love asteroids. And there's probably 20 or 30 quote unquote negative ones. Not all of the asteroids are going to be important in your chart. There's going to be a huge deal, like Psyche in my chart, that don't attach to anything and therefore don't have much significance, if any, in your natal chart. That doesn't mean Psyche means nothing in my chart. I could by transit or by progression or in solar return or in many, many different ways experience the energy of this asteroid. So don't worry about it. If you look up something like, a famous one is Amor, Amor, love. A lot of people look that one up, Psyche and Eros, and freak out because they're nowhere near what you would consider important parts in your chart. It doesn't mean anything. We're all going to have challenging asteroids like Hercules, beautiful ones like Eros that attach to points, and then ones that mean nothing. Another cool thing, depending on your name, is you can see I've got an asteroid called Lee. There just happens to be one. Not all names have an asteroid, and again, unfortunately, I don't know if I mentioned in this video, one of the setbacks of Astro.com is this gender thing. They want you to pick either female or male. There's nothing in between, and there's no options there, which is really limiting and not very progressive. Equally, let's be honest that most of the asteroids are Western names. So for my Western clients, American and North American, Canadian, let's say a lot of Western Europe, there are asteroids named Maria. There's an asteroid named Sharon. There's an asteroid named Hillary, as in Hillary Clinton. You can look it up. There might not be an asteroid if your name is not "quote unquote" traditional in the Western standard. But assuming there is, and you used the asteroid list from the previous page to check if you have an asteroid in your name, you can insert it in your chart and see if it can join something. Again, on the site, I'm going to have different subcategories of asteroids. Some of them will have full posts, like in the case of these big four I mentioned, Ceres, Juno, Vesta, Pallas, even my girlfriend here, Black Moon Lilith, because she's my girl. I will have bigger posts for those guys, and for slightly smaller asteroids, which is not to say less significant, but smaller at this point, people like Hercules, asteroids like Psyche and Eros, I'll probably bundle them up in different posts. So if you use the site and you look up different things, you can check them out to see how they work against your chart, or you can definitely, as always, contact me for a reading where we specifically just look at the asteroids in your chart. But the biggest thing you want to keep in mind is there's small points. You want small orbs, really, really tight, small orbs. If you have something at 12 and something at 16, no. Sorry, girlfriend. Doesn't work. For the big four, Ceres, Juno, Vesta, Pallas, I'm cool with that because they're pretty major. We call them the asteroid goddesses. And Demetra George, who's amazing, has written a fantastic book about those guys. So I would really recommend you to pick that up if it's something you fancy. So on those guys, I will use an orb of 3 to 4. So plus or minus 3 on either side. But if you've got an asteroid over here at like 9, here would be like 26, and Jupiter is over here at 12. No, stop. It's okay. There will be other asteroids conjoined to other things. Don't worry. Let this guy go. Let it go. That's it, my friends. Please, as always, let me know if you have any questions. I'm always here. Comment me below, either on Facebook if you're watching it on Facebook, or on straightwoo.com, the blog where I write about astrology and shamanism. And that is it. I hope you really, really enjoy discovering the asteroids in your chart, and really just have fun with it, Enjoy. It's a really beautiful part of astrology that adds a lot of depth to your birth chart. So that's it, my friends. Enjoy, and I will see you on the flip side. Bye.